He is. Let's see if that continues today. But first, LS, aka LEC's Saviour, has arrived in the LEC. So please take us on a journey through the treasure that is the teachings of LS, the only right way to play the game. Ender, you can translate for the plebs at home if they don't
I'm going to try and make
understand.
sure even Vedius can understand it.
Yes, and LS, why don't you start by explaining how to master the starry-eyed songstress, Seraphine?
Well, Seraphine, you're gonna definitely want to go with the Moonstaff build. Okay, Moonstaff, obviously in the game right now, you get the Moonstone Renewer, Staff of Flowing Water, and then from there you can branch off into pretty much whatever you need. I mean, you see on the screen the shields and the heals absolutely out of control on this champion. The thing about her is that she doesn't slow down at 3 items, not at 4, not at 5. She's one of the champions in the game that truly does keep going all the way up to 6 items, and her base kit is also giga oppressive. She has one of the best ultimates in the game. I don't know whose idea it was to combine Ahri's charm with Yumi's ultimate, but someone thought about it, and now we have it on Seraphine. So she's just too synergetic. She's too good in the current meta. She complements so many champions. And with the buff to Chemtech Purifier, it allows her to answer team compositions that could maybe be problematic for a brawler recomp, but she's just way too good. Mikhail's Ardent Sensor, if you have a lot of attack speed and auto attack basing champions inside of your team comp, she's just way too good.
Thank you, LS. We really appreciate it. And I think that if I've learned anything, it's that Seraphine is OP, and even if you play her in mid lane, you're a support. Build her like a support.
I mean, it makes a lot of sense. Next up, LS, aka Lower Screen. Torre, he joined the school of LS yesterday with
Wait,
gragas.
LS, move cam. Move cam. Move cam.
Oh.
It's in the wrong...
Ender, it's not LCS yet.
Okay, my bad.
Ender, I need you later for that. Not right now. But no problem. Moonstone Renewer, obviously on the Gragas. He's able to proc it pretty reliably inside of the team fights. If you look at the game where this ended up being picked, he doesn't really have a value to just go Glass Cannon, but also going Glass Cannon on Gragas is harder to come by. It's more expensive. Moonstone Renewer is going to actually give you a pretty massive spike when you do end up completing it, especially just because it allows you to remain relevant with just basically one core item because of the effectiveness of the item. So Gragas is still going to have all of his utility. He's still going to have sort of a tankiness because he's healing other people in a way. So even if he's not himself super tanky, his allies are. And so that's sort of a weird mix. It's just an interesting item that you definitely have options to go into.
Right. So if you're playing a jungle champion in the support role, you still build like a support. Moonstone is everything.
Is everything, apparently. All right, moving on to a top lane pick, Shizenda's gangplank build specifically. Is this one that you liked?
Is there a Moonstone on this too?
No.
Oh.
There's not a Moonstone. It's a blunder. It's a divine one at that. He ended up going Divine Blunderer here on Gangplank, and this strikes me as really weird. And rather than just immediately write it off, I actually reached out to a friend that lived with me for 2 years, highest rated Gangplank player on Korea. A lot of people that watch the LCS co-streams might know him as Onion God, and I reached out to him, I asked what he thought. He said that Divine Blunderer doesn't make sense here, but neither does Trinity Force because Cho'Gath can side lane well, and so because of the other targets on the enemy team, he thought you should just obviously go crit. You don't get value out of Blunderer, it's not a very good item. So going for the crit build with Essence Reaver and Immortal Shield Bow, especially on this patch where it was buffed, probably would have been a better choice. You don't need the sustain and tankiness from the Triforce build for side lane potency.
Onions are good. You like onions.
Thanks for that translation there. Finally, let's take a look at Larsen's Azir build. We're seeing Azir a lot in the meta, of course, now. And what do you think of what he whipped out yesterday?
I think that the Banshee's Veil is a really interesting item, but that's not just the part I want to talk about. Banshees did get buffed in this recent patch, and one of the things that we saw Larsen do, and this is what I mentioned about in the past, that Larsen is always looking for ways to get micro edges, and Verdant Barrier ended up getting changed. It's now basically the Seeker's Arm Guard of Control Mage versus Control Mage in mid lane. Traditionally, mages would go Seeker's Arm Guard against AD champions in mid, but now in Control Mirrors, you can actually go Verdant Barrier, and it really stifles the enemy mid laner and doesn't force you to just go Merc Treads Rush or something inside of the laning phase in order to have resistances. And then curving into Banshees as the second item, really problematic in mid games for a lot of team compositions right now.
Heed the words of LS. Please, Vedius, build magic resistance so you stop getting solo killed. Thank you.
I think that was all very good advice. Finally, we're going to take a look at a macro move, and namely, it is about Second Rift Herald.
Yeah, so this one's really interesting. Renekton just got done doing the Krug, so he starts this clip with 173 EXP, goes down into bot lane. Now, Mad Lions already pushed the wave into mid, but they're gonna rotate into mid lane, and they're gonna share EXP on 4 champions. So this is a lot of reduced shared EXP. In doing so, Renekton's down in bot lane. Bot lane gives 105 gold on its own, 255 EXP on just that minion wave, but a cannon wave is gonna give you 170 roughly, 345 EXP, which is gonna total about 600 EXP. This is anywhere from 68 to 50% of a level at this game timer. So even though you rotate to the Herald, you get 100 gold, you get 206 experience, Renekton is invalidating the golden EXP that you're getting from the Herald itself, and then because you left him in isolation and he's not sharing EXP, he's getting higher upside on EXP, he's getting the turret plates himself, and it just doesn't make any sense. This is a giant fumble that pro teams all around the world make, where they're not losing to Boris, no, they've gone the next step. They bought a calculator from Boris, and now they're losing to the calculator that he provided them with, so not really working that much. So might have been from the LCS. But Rogue, in the end, they ended up making up way better than Mad Lions, and it doesn't make sense either, because when you consider Mad Lions' team composition, the space advantage that is gained from getting a Rift Herald and accelerating the game is counterintuitive to their team composition.
I think I got the gist of it, but can you translate it for us plebs?
Yeah, so the second Rift Herald is a false god.
Okay.
Don't do it because math and science proves that second Herald is bad. There were a lot of numbers in there, but if I counted on my fingers well enough, it's just not worth it.
It's not just
It's a waste of time. Just farm your camps, take plates, etc.
All right. Thank you both a lot for that deep dive. You know, we don't do that too often here in the LEC. Just like I'm overtuned on analysis, so we got to get back to that narrative. But thank you though. So we're going to talk a bit about Rogue's journey to the top, which has been nothing less than an adventure. But the final boss is still left standing. Later tonight, they get the chance to finally defeat the reigning champions in our Alienware match of the week.